Hey everyone, and welcome right back to The Explainer. Today we're exploring a deeply emotional and psychological topic from our source text, and that is the profound healing power of compassionate forgiveness. We're going to look at the very real, tangible impact that extending forgiveness, or choosing to withhold it, actually has on individuals and an entire community. It's a subject that hits right at the core of human relationships and our spiritual well-being. So let's get right into the text and see what we can uncover together.
Okay, let's dive into this. We are anchoring today's explainer right here, with this incredibly powerful scriptural directive from 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 7. It says, "Kindly forgive and comfort him, so that he may not be overwhelmed by excessive sadness." Notice the specific verbs they use here. Forgive is paired immediately with comfort. According to the text, it's not just some silent internal pardon, right? It's an active outward expression of warmth. And why is this absolutely crucial? Well, the verse gives us the exact reason: to prevent the person from being overwhelmed. It acknowledges a very real vulnerability. When someone is truly repentant, they are already carrying just a massive emotional weight. So this text really serves as a blueprint, showing us that compassionate forgiveness is the vital safety net, keeping a person from falling into absolute despair.
But we do have to ask a pretty difficult question, which brings us to our next point. What happens if elders or the congregation refuse to show love to a truly repentant man upon his return? I want you to just imagine this scenario for a second. Imagine a person who has recognized their wrongdoing, who has done the incredibly difficult, agonizing work of repenting, and who is genuinely seeking to return and make things right. They step back into the community completely vulnerable, hoping for that comfort we just talked about. But instead, they're met with a wall of ice. They are met with a total refusal of love. Imagine the crushing reality of that cold isolation. It is a terrifying prospect, honestly, and the source material outlines exactly what happens when this crucial support system completely fails.
Let's move to and see how this builds. The text maps out a tragic, cause-and-effect domino sequence that happens when love is withheld. It doesn't just hurt someone's feelings, it sets off a really dangerous trajectory. Step 1 is the initial action, the refusal of forgiveness by the community. And that leads directly to step 2, excessive sadness. As that sadness compounds without any comfort to break it up, it morphs into step 3, profound feelings of hopelessness. The individual looks at their situation and just sees no way out, no path to redemption in the eyes of their peers. And finally, the most devastating endpoint, step 4, giving up on God entirely. This step-by-step breakdown from the source shows us that withholding forgiveness isn't a passive act at all. It is an active catalyst that can literally dismantle a person's faith piece by piece.
Let's actually slow down for a second and really focus on step 2 from that sequence. Our source text uses a very specific phrase to describe this, warning that the person could be swallowed up by excessive sadness. Think about that imagery for a moment. Being swallowed up. It implies being totally consumed, surrounded in darkness, unable to breathe or escape. Excessive sadness isn't just having a bad day or feeling a bit down. It is a debilitating state of grief and isolation. When a repentant wrongdoer is left all alone with the guilt of their past mistakes, and they're deprived of the comforting forgiveness of their brothers and sisters, that grief becomes like a black hole. It completely swallows them up, leaving absolutely no room for light, healing, or progress.
And that darkness leads us to the ultimate tragedy, a hopeless situation. The source material makes it abundantly clear that the individual could easily feel that his situation was hopeless, and might even just give up in his efforts to repair his relationship with God. This is the tragic endpoint of that isolation we've been talking about. We need to recognize that the text isn't just talking about temporary emotional pain here. It outlines the complete destruction of a person's spiritual efforts. When a community refuses to forgive, they essentially convince the repentant person that the bridge to God is permanently burned. So the person stops trying. They surrender to the hopelessness. It is just a profound spiritual loss.
So, up to this point, we focused heavily on the devastating impact on the repentant individual. But the source material introduces a sharp, really solemn pivot that we absolutely must address. And honestly, it's quite a surprising twist. Why does withholding forgiveness put the congregation's own relationship with Jehovah in jeopardy? This is a massive danger outlined in the text. It states that even worse than the individual's sadness is the fact that the brothers and sisters who refuse to forgive actually put their own spiritual standing at risk. This really wakes us up to the reality that, according to the source, forgiveness isn't just a nice gift you give to someone else. It's a fundamental requirement for the congregation's relationship with God. If they refuse it, the consequences rebound directly back onto them and the wider community. But why exactly is that the case?
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why. The source text presents a profound spiritual dichotomy. Over on one side, it describes Jehovah's forgiving attitude as compassionate toward repentant wrongdoers. On the flip side, it outlines Satan's merciless attitude, harsh, unforgiving, and spiritually destructive. The text points out that when a congregation refuses to forgive, they're no longer reflecting Jehovah. Instead, the material argues they are actively mirroring the harsh, merciless attitude of the devil. There is absolutely no middle ground presented here. According to the source, you're either reflecting compassion or you're reflecting mercilessness.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer weight of this realization. Read this direct quote from the text with me. They would, in effect, become tools that the devil could use to destroy the man spiritually. Just let that sink in for a second. By simply withholding forgiveness, the source claims the congregation doesn't just remain neutral bystanders. No, they are actively weaponized. They become the very tools Satan uses to execute his destructive goals against a repentant person. It is a terrifying concept presented in this material that a group of people genuinely trying to serve God could inadvertently become instruments of the devil simply through the stubborn refusal to extend love and comfort to someone who is hurting and repentant.
So what is the core takeaway from the source text today? It all comes down to a fundamental choice. Choose the path of healing. To do this, the text argues we have to actively reflect compassion, comfort the repentant, and completely reject that harshness. You have to ask yourself a pretty provocative question as we wrap up this analysis. What kind of spiritual vessel do you choose to be? Are you going to be an instrument of comfort that saves someone from being swallowed up by excessive sadness? Or will you allow a merciless attitude to turn you into a tool for spiritual destruction? The power of compassionate forgiveness is a central, undeniable theme of this text, and it's something we all need to deeply consider.
For more information, please visit jw.org. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Explainer as we walked through these truly vital concepts. If you found this breakdown helpful and you appreciate learning through this focused, visual structure, please take a quick second to like this explainer, share it with others who might benefit from it, and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to press that bell icon so you never miss a notification when we release a new explainer. Keep learning, stay compassionate, and I will see you next time.